picture this. Your sourdough starter is ready. You've mixed your dough. You've sat through bulk fermentation doing your folds. You've shaped your dough beautifully. It's in the fridge now, proofing overnight. It's the next day. You've preheated your oven. You put your dough in the oven and you forgot to score it. Oh my gosh. What's it gonna look like? Well, maybe you can't picture that and you're just curious what unscored bread looks like. Well, either way, this video is for you. This is a baking experiment on what unscored bread looks like. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna do a little baking experiment today. I've got 3 loaves of bread. These were all from the same batch of dough. They bulk fermented the same amount of time. They all went through the same shaping process and they all have been cold proofing in my fridge overnight. It's the second day. So how I'm gonna do this experiment is I'm gonna have 1 control loaf. And so this loaf of bread, I'm gonna do a functional score on. And what we're gonna see is it predictably open up with a nice belly and ear. And for these other 2 loaves, I'm gonna bake them the same way as I do this one, but I'm not gonna score them. So the main point of this experiment is just to kind of see what happens when you don't score bread. I mean, you hear a lot of talk, especially from me, about the importance of scoring bread. And we're gonna put that to the test and see if it really matters. So let's try it out. Let's start with this first loaf. We'll bake that one first. So here's my first loaf of bread. I'm gonna score this one, just a functional score down the middle. My experiment is going to be using a Challenger bread pan for all 3 loaves. It has been preheating in the oven at 450 for about an hour. So here we go. First loaf going in the oven. All right, and here we have loaf 2. For this one, I am not going to score this. I'm just going to put it in there just like this. Not gonna do anything. We're just gonna see what happens. Let's put that in there. And last but not least, we have the 3rd loaf. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing with this one. I'm going to not score it and just put it right in there and see what happens. All right, here we go with loaf 3. All right, so all the bread is finished being made, and I think you're gonna be really interested in the results here. I know I am a little bit surprised, but before I show the reveal, if you enjoyed this content so far, please give me a like or maybe even a subscribe. It helps my small channel out a lot. All right, let's take a look at this bread. It's very interesting. All right, so all of our loaves have finished baking. The results are super interesting, at least to me. I'm gonna open each one up. We'll take a quick peek at it, and then we'll take a deeper dive into what happened. And we got loaf number 1, loaf number 2, and last but not least, loaf number 3. All right, so let's take a deeper dive at what happened with these loaves. All right, so we have loaf number 1. It looks like your classic artisan loaf of sourdough bread. We've got the nice ear. We have a nice belly in the middle. It's got a nice crust to it with some air bubbles. It's crunchy. We did the functional score down the middle on this one. The functional score really allows you to control where that belly opens up. You can see that here. This is evidence of that. So this one really just looks like your classic artisan loaf of bread. Very pretty, I must say. Looking at loaf number 2, we see this very big rupture horizontally down the middle of the loaf. And looking here, there's another rupture along the bottom edge and the start of a rupture on the side here. You can see because we didn't score it, it just opened up in a random place. The crust, still very crunchy. It's got some nice air bubbles on it, but compared to loaf number 1, it doesn't have that classic sourdough look. Looking at a comparison here, this kind of kept the shape of what I had shaped it into in the bread basket, and you could tell here it really was trying to open up and eventually was able to break through a little bit horizontally. but this is what it really wanted to do, I think. Looking at loaf number 3, that's a very similar situation, except for this one, you can see it ruptured in the front here, and it ruptured horizontally along the side. But the color is very nice. It's got some air bubbles on the crust. It's very crunchy. And so I'm going to cut these open and see if there's any difference on the inside. My guess is that these ones are a lot more dense than this one. And that's just because this had more room to expand and this didn't. So it's just a more condensed space, but we'll find out. I'm going to cut each one open. So let's cut these open and see what the inside looks like. Before I do that, I just want to reiterate that all 3 of these loaves were from the same batch of dough, and I tried very hard to shape them the exact same way. Preheated the oven for the exact same amount of time for each one. The only real difference here is just that I scored this loaf and I didn't score the others. So let's take a look inside this one. It looks pretty good. We have lots of evenly distributed pockets around the dough. It's very soft. This is a lower hydration dough. It's about 60% hydration, so it's not supposed to be very open. It looks very good, not dense at all. So it's really what I like to see. So let's take a look at the second loaf. I'm hoping that the scoring didn't make that much of a difference on the crumb. That would be a huge bummer to me personally. I understand it might be a little dense in there just because, as I explained, you could tell it didn't have an opportunity to burst out or expand out. So let's take a look and see. So here it is. There are an even distribution of air pockets. So the fermentation was good. Again, this is a low hydration loaf, but you do notice here that it is a little gummy around the edges and going into the center. It's a little dense. This has been sitting out for about 2 hours now, so plenty of time to cool down. Definitely not as good as the scored loaf. This one is a little dense inside, but it should taste great either way, but it's not perfect. Let's take a look at the third loaf. Third loaf is a similar situation. As I had mentioned, it ripped horizontally, looking for a place to expand out. It is a little wider, so maybe that gave it a chance for the crumb to not be as dense as the second loaf, but let's find out. Lots of small air holes, pretty evenly distributed, a good fermentation. It is a little bit gummy along the edges right here, but not too bad. And I think this one should taste pretty great. And it's, it's got a decent shape for, sandwiches and toast and stuff. So let's talk a little bit more about the final outcome. I found this to be a really interesting experiment. I've talked about it in my past videos, the importance of scoring, and I think that shows here. With the scored loaf, we really have that aesthetic, classic artisan bread look. The bread had a chance to really expand out in the oven with that steam, and the crumb looked great. Not dense at all, not gummy, very soft, and it's going to make really good bread. With the 2 loaves we didn't score, they're still going to make really tasty bread, but I think that aesthetically they don't look as good, and you could tell that looking at the crumb, in places it was a little gummy and dense, and I think that's because the bread did not have a chance to really expand out like it wanted to when we gave it that opportunity with the functional score. So my conclusion is that you should always try to do a functional score. It seems very important if you want the maximum potential output for your bread. I know personally, I put a lot of time into making my bread, and I want it to be the final product to be the best that it can be. So if you forget to score your bread, it's not the end of the world. It's just gonna look kind of similar to how you shaped it maybe, and be a little random at where it tries to break out, so it might not have that aesthetically pleasing look to it, but it's still going to make really good sandwiches, really good toast. It might be a little dense depending upon how far it was able to get expanding out, but it's still going to be really good bread, and you should be proud of yourself for making that. So I had a lot of fun doing this experiment, and I would love to hear from you on what you think of the results, or if you've forgotten to score your bread at times and how that turned out. If you liked any of the products that I used in this video, check out my description for a discount on those. And if you're interested in learning how to make sourdough bread at home like me, check out my YouTube channel. I have a complete walkthrough on there, and it's very in-depth. Thank you so much for watching. Happy baking, everyone.